There's a clock running right now. You can't see it. You can't hear it. But every single morning it ticks. And every single morning that you don't know it exists is a morning it's working against you. Most people discover it at 35, some at 40. A few unlucky ones don't find out until they're sitting across from a financial advisor who says the words that never really land the way they should until it's almost too late. You've got some catching up to do. Here's what nobody tells you when you're 22. Your 20 seconds aren't just a decade. They're a multiplier. Every decision you make during this window doesn't just affect your next 5 years, it echoes for 30. The gap between people who retire at 50 and people who work until 70 almost never comes down to income. It comes down to a handful of decisions made in a decade most people spend just trying to figure out who they are. I've spent years studying why certain people break out of financial mediocrity early and why others, equally intelligent, equally hardworking, never quite do. The pattern is almost never about one big moment. It's about 7 specific decisions made or missed between the ages of 20 and 30. And the most disturbing part? The people who make the wrong calls aren't stupid. They're not lazy. They're just playing by a set of rules that no one ever explicitly told them were the rules. Let's change that. But before we do, this isn't financial advice. I'm not a licensed anything. What I'm about to share is a synthesis of real data, documented behavioral research, and what I've personally observed across thousands of stories of people who built wealth and people who didn't. Process it like that. Decision 1, your relationship with visible debt. There are 2 kinds of debt. The kind that most people talk about, student loans, credit cards, car payments, and the kind no one talks about, which is invisible and infinitely more expensive. The invisible debt isn't borrowed money, it's borrowed time. Every month that you're servicing a car payment you took on to look like someone you're not yet, every month, you're paying minimum balances on a credit card that funded a lifestyle your income didn't support. You're not just losing money, you're losing the compounding window. Here's a number that changes everything. $5,000 invested at 22 at the S&P 500's historical average return sits at over $145,000 by age 65. That same $5,000 kept in a checking account barely registers. The money didn't change. The decision about what to do with it changed everything. The research on this is blunt. People who invest the same dollar amount starting a decade earlier end up with more than double the final balance at retirement, often contributing less total money is greater than. The early investor wins not because they earned more. They win because they didn't let payments eat the window. The decision in your 20s isn't, should I have debt or not? It's this. Is every financial obligation I carry right now something that moves me toward assets or further from them? That's the only question. Everything else is noise. Decision 2. The asset everyone ignores. There's an asset that appreciates faster than almost anything in your 20s. It doesn't show up in any portfolio tracker. No one brags about it at dinner. And the people who invest in it early almost always outperform their peers financially within a decade. It's your earning capacity, not your current salary, your ceiling. The research on income trajectories is fascinating and largely underreported. The gap between median wages for people in their peak earning years, roughly 45 to 55, often comes down to skill investments made in their 20s, not their 40s. The person who spent $300 on a technical course at 23, $50 on a book about negotiation at 25, in 2 years, deliberately building a specific skill by 27, is often earning 40% more than a peer with identical baseline qualifications by the time they're 35. The compounding here isn't financial. It's reputational and skill-based. Skills earn you more income. More income invested early compounds into more wealth. More wealth gives you more choices. More choices give you leverage. Leverage accelerates everything. The question isn't, what should I learn? The question is, what skill, if I spent 18 months getting genuinely excellent at it, would the market pay significantly more for? Then you make that the answer to a lot of questions about how you spend your discretionary time and money. This is the most underinvested asset in most 20-somethings portfolios, and it has a higher ROI than almost everything else on this list. Decision 3, the 60-minute window. This one sounds soft. It isn't. How you spend the first 60 minutes of your day across a decade is one of the most statistically reliable predictors of financial outcome I've ever encountered in behavioral research. Not because of some mystical morning routine, because of what that window reveals about your relationship with intention versus reaction. Most people in their 20s wake up and immediately hand their attention to something designed by someone else to capture it. Social media, news, notifications. They start the day in a reactive posture, responding to other people's agendas. That posture doesn't stay in the morning. It shapes every decision that follows. The people who build wealth early tend to have one thing in common in the morning. They spend some portion of it deciding what they're actually working toward before they look at anything that wants their attention. That might be 20 minutes on a specific skill. It might be reviewing the financial goal they're building toward. It might be working on the side project that's going to give them optionality later. The content varies. The posture is the same, intentional before reactive. This isn't a productivity lecture. This is about the compounding of identity. The person who spends 60 intentional minutes daily for a decade has spent approximately 3,650 hours working on something they chose. Their 30-year-old self is fundamentally different from the person who spent those same hours scrolling, and financial outcomes reflect that difference at extraordinary scale. Decision 4, the circle. There's a well-documented phenomenon in behavioral economics where financial behaviors, saving rates, investment habits, risk tolerance cluster within social groups more strongly than almost any other personal characteristic. Put simply, income is contagious. Not because your friends give you money, because the baseline of what feels normal is set by the people you spend the most time around. If everyone in your immediate world is broke and proud of it, spending everything and financing the rest, that becomes the default. Not because you're weak or easily influenced, because humans are built to calibrate normal against their reference group. It's a survival mechanism, not a character flaw. The practical implication is uncomfortable. One of the highest ROI decisions you can make in your 20s is to deliberately build relationships with people who are doing the things you want to do financially, not as a networking exercise, as an environment design choice. This doesn't require abandoning your current relationships. It requires adding new ones. Finding communities online, professional, local, where the ambient conversation includes people actively building things, investing, making intentional choices. Where broke by choice is not the social norm. Your circle doesn't determine your ceiling, but it absolutely determines your floor. Decision 5. The bet most people are too scared to take. At some point in your 20s, almost everyone has an idea. A business, a side project, a skill they could monetize, a problem they know how to solve. Most people file it under someday and keep working for someone else. Here's what's mathematically true about your 20s that stops being true in your 30s. Your downside is lower now than it will ever be again. You probably don't have a mortgage yet. You might not have dependents. Your lifestyle costs are likely lower than they'll ever be as an adult. If you try something and it doesn't work, the recovery time is shorter. The financial reset is smaller. The scar tissue is thinner. Survey data consistently shows that the majority of Americans wish they had started investing in businesses, in side projects, in income diversification earlier in life is greater than to wrath. The regret almost never runs in the direction of, I tried something and it failed. It almost always runs the other way. This isn't an argument for reckless risk. It's an argument for proportionate risk taken during the window when proportionate risk is cheapest. The bet doesn't have to be huge. A freelance client, a product on an online marketplace, a skill offered at a market rate. The point is to start generating income from something you own rather than something someone else owns. Because that ownership, however small, is where the psychology of wealth building begins. You stop thinking like someone who exchanges time for wages and start thinking like someone who builds things that generate returns. That shift in identity is worth more than any specific income it generates early on. Decision 6, your relationship with looking successful. This one is the most expensive mistake I see measured in lifetime wealth. There's a version of success that is visible: the car, the wardrobe, the restaurant tabs, the apartment in the right part of the city. And there's a version of success that is invisible: the brokerage account, the growing side income, the options you're slowly accumulating that will let you make choices your peers can't. In your 20s, there's an almost gravitational pull toward the visible version. Partly because social media makes everyone else's highlights your baseline. Partly because your peer group is in the same psychological space and collective spending normalizes spending. Partly because visible success delivers immediate dopamine in a way that a growing index fund simply does not. Research on what's been called money dysmorphia, a disconnect between actual financial reality and perceived financial standing, shows that a significant portion of young adults feel financially behind even when they're objectively doing well and spend accordingly. The feeling of being behind drives spending designed to look ahead, which creates actual financial deterioration, which increases the feeling of being behind. Breaking this cycle in your 20s is one of the most powerful financial decisions you can make. Not by becoming ascetic, by becoming clear about what you're actually optimizing for. The goal isn't to have nothing. The goal is to direct resources toward things that compound instead of things that depreciate. A used car and a full brokerage account is a better position than a financed luxury car and an empty one. Not because frugality is virtuous, but because optionality is. The person driving the used car at 25 who is quietly building toward financial independence is not losing the status game. They're playing a different one. And in a decade, the results make that very obvious. Decision 7, the account that almost no one opens. Let me show you something that should make you a little angry. 2 people, same income, same monthly investment amount of $5,000 per year, same index fund, same return. One starts at 22, one starts at 32. By the time they both reach retirement at 62, the person who started at 22 has over $1.4 million. The person who started at 32 has just over $600,000. Same money, same discipline. A $830,000 difference, entirely created by a 10-year delay, is greater than that $830,000 gap wasn't earned. It wasn't saved. It was generated purely by the mathematical reality of compounding returns applied over a longer window. The account you open at 22, a Roth IRA, a 401k, an index fund in a taxable brokerage, is not a retirement account. It is a time machine. Every dollar you put in it is not a dollar saved. It is a dollar multiplied by decades. Most surveys on this topic find that 80% of Americans wish they had started investing earlier. The average age of first investment has moved younger with each generation. But even Gen Z's average first investment age sits around 20, meaning the majority still wait past the optimal window. This is not complicated. The account takes 15 minutes to open. The contributions can be automated. The whole system can run in the background while you focus on every other decision on this list. The only cost is starting. And the only thing that makes starting expensive is waiting. Here's what I want you to understand before you close this video. And I want you to hear it clearly. None of these 7 decisions exist in isolation. Your ability to invest compounds when you're not drowning in debt payments. Your earning ceiling rises faster when you're surrounded by people who treat growth as a baseline. Your bet, the side project, the business idea, becomes more viable when your fixed costs are low because you're not financing a lifestyle built on visible success. Your morning window produces more when you're clear on the direction you're moving. Your compounding account grows faster when your earning capacity is growing too. They reinforce each other, or they undermine each other. That's the part most financial advice misses. The decisions aren't a menu where you pick 2 or 3. They're a system. And the system either runs for you or against you. The people who figure this out at 22 don't just end up wealthier at 40. They end up with something harder to quantify and arguably more important. They have options. The option to leave a job that no longer serves them. The option to take a risk because they have runway. The option to say no to the obligation that doesn't align with the life they're actually building. Wealth, at its core, is stored options. And your 20s are when you either start building the storage or you don't. There are two versions of you at 40. One version has options. They've spent 20 years making decisions that compounded. They may not be rich by any dramatic definition, but they are free in the way that actually matters. Free from financial desperation, free from the monthly math that keeps you trapped, free to make choices based on what they want instead of what they owe. The other version is still running the same calculation they were running at 25. Same anxiety, same ceiling. The only difference is that by 40, the window has narrowed significantly. Both versions start here. Both of them were 22 once with the same choices in front of them. The only question we're sitting with today is, which version are you building toward? Pick one decision from this list, not 7. 1, open the account, cut the payment, find the community, take the bet, start the morning differently. Do it in the next 48 hours because the clock I told you about at the beginning of this video, it's still running.